Hey again. This is Jesse the Polymath Project with Jesse Precious. I'm your academic buddy, someone who is always there to help out. So today we'll be facing a few things. One of the most on my list is a quiz. So, um, question of the day, or more like a quiz of the day. The fourth and 11th term of an arithmetic progression, AP, that's short for the acronym to arithmetic progression, are 19 and 54 respectively. Find the first term and the common difference. So to solve this particular problem, there are background knowledge you should have, little ideas you should have. This is a mathematical problem, and as you could see, there is no much number here, and someone who is not aware or a novice to all these things might be like, oh, since there's not much of a number, there's no problem here. But if you know the background knowledge, if you have background knowledge of what it is, you know that this is a whole work ahead of us. So now, the background knowledge that we should be having before we're able to solve problems like this include simultaneous equation, change of subject of the formula, arithmetic functions. That's more like the awareness of addition, subtraction, division, and multiplication. And lastly, we want to talk about the sequence. The sequence is the main thing or the main idea behind the problem we just encounter or intend to solve. So remember that these are the basic knowledge you should have or the background knowledge you should have before being able to solve this problem. Simultaneous equation, change of the subject of the formula, basic arithmetic functions, and sequence. So if you already know about sequence, you know that we have kinds or categories of sequence. We have the arithmetic progression, the geometric progression. We also have the ones we call regression, and we also have the one we call triangle of numbers. These are several categories of sequence, of which the main one we want to buttress or opine more on is the arithmetic progression. So as you could see here, the arithmetic progression is the main thing under study. So let's dive right in. You might really want to you might want to understand a little bit more about the arithmetic progression before we commence anything further. So um, as the case may be, so we want to consider basic hints before anything. So what are the basic hints? What are the basic things we should know, basic ideas we should have before we solve this problem? Now, the first thing would want to do is understand the formula for arithmetic progression. So the nth term, as the case may be, the T there stands for nth term, or you could say the number of a term is equal to a plus n minus 1, all enclosed in the bracket multiplying by d. So for any term, which is the Tn, of an arithmetic progression, A happens to stand for first term, N happens to stand for the number of term, and D stands for what we call the common difference. Someone who's familiar with sequence would already know what these things are. So if this is the formula for any term in an arithmetic progression, I I do suggest that you have it at the back of your mind before any other thing. So without further ado, we want to go into the next one. So um, simultaneous equation. I told you that one of the basics of this is that you must have a background knowledge of what simultaneous equation is about. So with that, you can always be able to solve a problem. So now let's get into this. The next thing we want to talk about is the simultaneous equation as the case may be. Sorry, I'm a little distracted. Uh, the simultaneous equation can be solved using the following methods: substitution method, elimination method, graphical methods, matrix application. Remember, each of these methods is peculiar to any kind of problem you might be encountering. So you have to choose the convenient method for the problems that you want to solve. So what is the convenient method we'll be using for this problem is the elimination method. The elimination method is what I strongly do recommend. Um, that being said, uh, how does the elimination method work? So the elimination method for solving simultaneous equation is a systematic way to eliminate one of the variable, making it easier to solve for the other. So you need to know that in simultaneous equation, we need two equations because it has two variables. The variables we look at here is x and y, as you can see, while the a as a number and b as a number to y are constants. So the first thing we do if we want to use the elimination method is arrange the equation, and then the next one is to align and compare. If you could look on this other side of the screen, you'll figure out that it's been already made easy. The explanation here is pretty much basic. So in the two equations, equation 1 and equation 2 of the example one, you find out that y in the different equation has a common coefficient, which is 5. So in order to eliminate them, you'd have to subtract. So that being said, it'd be like 3x minus 2x gives you x, 5y minus 5y gives you 0, and then 20 minus 15 gives you 5. That means x is equal to 5. And then with further applications, you could find the value of y. Uh, on the other hand, if none of the variables has a common equation in each of the equations, like this one, x here has a quotient of 1, and on this other side has a quotient of 2. Y here has a quotient of 4, and the other side has the quotient of 5. In a situation like this, you need to find a variable and then use the coefficients in the two equations, find their LCM, and then multiply it through each equation. So think about it this way. Um, this equation for x here in the two equations, the first equation has the quotient of 1 for x, and then for the second one we have 2. So 2 and 1, the LCM of 2 and 1 is 2. The next thing you're going to do is you multiply through with 2 in the equation 1 to make it have the same coefficient as that in equation 2. So 2 multiply x gives you 2x, 2 multiply 4y gives you 8y, and then 6 multiplied 2 gives you 12. That being said, at the end of the day, you pretty much understand what was done here, which the basic purpose for everything done here is to eliminate. 2x minus 2x gives you 0, and then so far and so on. Now, we are going to just practice what we've gathered here so far so that we can now start the problem solving. Now, okay, let us clean our slide. This takes a little time, so it's just necessary for the next time we revisit them. Okay, so arithmetic progression. You already know what that is about. Okay. All right. Okay, so um, about the elimination method, I think pretty much everything here has been explained, and there is no need for further ado. Um, Okay, let's go into our board to see how we can use the knowledge gathered so far to learn better. Okay, so here we are. Um, Pretty much we shouldn't forget the nuggets as it comes. We're going to see how far we could go with this. So let's zoom in. Okay, so we have here, they said the fourth term and 11th term of an arithmetic progression. The fourth term, Tn, sorry, fourth term is equal to 19, and the 11th term is equal to 54. So we also have to check it out here. From what was said here, you would have gathered that for any term in an arithmetic progression, which is Tn, is equal to a plus all in the bracket n minus 1 bracket close t. So this is pretty much what this is saying, and we could use this for the equations we have, or for the problem we have here. The fourth term is equal to a plus all in the bracket 4 minus 1 bracket close t, and then for the 11th term is equal to a plus all in the bracket 11 minus 1 all in the bracket t. So if we could resolve this, it's going to be equal to a, 4 minus 1 gives you 3. 3 times d gives you 3d. So we have here plus 3d. And then here equal to, we have here a plus 11 minus 1 gives you 10. 10 times d gives you 10d. Now, if we've gathered this information straight, we can now say that note, since T4 is equal to 19 and T4 is also equal to A plus 3D, we can say A plus 3D, which is 3, 4, which is the fourth term, is equal to 19. And on the other hand, we could equally as well say A plus 10D, that's the 11th term, is equal to 54. Now, we can use this. This looks like, would you say, simultaneous equation? So let's say this is equation 1 and this is equation 2. What method or what pattern are we going to be using to solve this kind of simultaneous equation? Maybe we should revisit what we were talking about on the slides before now. Okay, so yeah, here we are. Looking at this, you'll figure out that we'll be using pretty much this method because y happens to have a common coefficient in both equations. The 5 here, the 5 there, right? So that's pretty much it. Okay, so the next thing we'll be going into, let's go back and see the similarity we have. All right. Now, A has a common coefficient as A on the other equation. The coefficient here is 1. So going straight in, let's say minus. We want to eliminate A. A minus A gives you 0 plus 3D minus 10D gives you minus 7D. And then 19 minus 54 gives you equal to minus 35. Now, resolving this, minus 7D is equal to minus 35. So What's the next thing on our plate? We're going to make the subject of the formula by dividing through with this coefficient, which is minus 7. Subject of the formula. So we're dividing through by the coefficient. So what do we have now that we're dividing through? I'm going to regurgitate what we have here. So we have here minus 7d is equal to minus 35. Dividing through by the quotient, which is minus 7, we have here minus 7 here, minus 7 here. So minus kills the minus, and 7 kills the 7, leaving us with just d. So d is what we have on this side of the equation. And then minus cancels minus, making it positive. 35 divided by 7 makes it 5. So the common difference here is equal to 5. Now, we're going to find a because the problem, remember the problem asks us to find the common difference d and the first term, which happens to be a. How we do that is going to be this. We're going to pick any of this equation. We pick either equation 1 or equation 2, and then we substitute the value of d into any of the equations to find a. So I'm going to use both equations to show you that we can still obtain or arrive at the same answer for a, which happens to be the first term. So let's do it. Okay. Okay, so let's regurgitate everything on the other side. So we have here um, a plus 3d is equal to 19, and a plus 10d is equal to 54. So let's say I have here, for the first equation, I'll be like, I'm substituting the value so we have here a plus 3, d here now stands for 5, all bracket close, equal to 19. So a plus 3 times 5 gives you 15 equals 19. So we subtract 15 from both sides. 15 subtracted 15 here, subtracting 15 here. 15 cancels out 15, and then we have 0. What's left on this other side of the equation is a now. A is equal to 19 minus 15 gives you 4. So if you're still skeptical about the patterns to this, you could use the second equation. So we could say for equation 2, we could say d is still 5, a plus 10, d is 5, bracket close, is equal to 54. Now, as the case may be, a plus 10 times 5 gives you 50 is equal to 54. So let's say we subtract 50 from both sides of the equation. 50 cancels 50, and then what's left here now is 0. And then a is what's left on the other side of the equation, making 54 minus 50 gives you 4. So it's still satisfied, satisfied in both of the equations, sorry. In both of the equations, a came out as a constant value of 4. So this is pretty much how you can solve a sequence having simultaneous equation problem. So I believe this was pretty much very, very, very helpful, and I'm glad that you were able to stick to it. Okay, so this is an overview of everything we've done so far, and it would be the end of today's session. Now, I'm grateful for you. This happens to be our first project, and I'm giving this special thanks to Pinterest. I used a little bit of the display for our lectures today, and Dr. Root, a very great friend, and mentors and families, and my good friend Mr. Abai Darlington and Augustine Abai. Um, like I said, this is our first project. I believe with time things get better and we advance more. So we pretty much do things like this for mathematics, physics, further mathematics, and you can always subscribe to our YouTube channel on the subscribe button below, and then you can equally reach us out through our email, jesseprecious at gmail.com, or WhatsApp. This is my number for WhatsApp. So do well to reach to us. We could help your kids soar through school struggles and everything on this subject. So I'll be seeing you soon. Thank you very much, and bye.